right. I believe we are live. So, welcome, Steve Jefferson from Kuleana Rum, all the way in Hawaii. Glad to have you here.
Stoked to be here. Prefer to be on that side of the bar, though, where all those bottles are, but I have a couple of my own up here.
I'm going to make sure that we're going here. So just bear with me here for just a moment. So, welcome, Steve Jefferson from Kuleana Rum, all the way in Hawaii. Oh my!
Stoked to be here. Prefer to be on that side of the bar, though, where all those bottles are, but I have a couple of my own up here.
I'm going to make sure that we'll just bear with me here for just a moment. Oh, hang on. You still there, Steve?
Yeah, when I was a kid, we used to call that satellite delay.
Yeah.
So I think that's implied permission to swear now, right?
Yeah, implied, yes.
I see you have the technology.
We're trying to make sure that we got everything going. Usually Robert is the one that he does all the tech stuff.
I think at this point, I don't think you're fooling everybody who normally does the tech stuff.
We'll see if we can't get this thing corrected here a little bit. Looks like it's trying.
For what it's worth, mine does say you're live on YouTube right now.
Does it?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. We're gonna. Wow. This is a killer. But okay, well, I guess we're just we're gonna move forward with it. And yes, okay. So yeah, we've got Sean's here. Sean's in the house. He's joining us. Jeremy joining us as well. Glad you're both here. So yes, once again, we've got Steve Jefferson from Kuleana Rum. I apologize for all the technical difficulties that this old guy is having, okay? But we're very excited, very proud to have Steve here and learn more about Kuleana Rum. And so please, Steve, tell me, when did Kuleana, when was the birth of Kuleana? When did that take place?
That's an easy one. That was a very distinct moment. We woke up on a catamaran off the island of Martinique that we'd been sailing around for 6 months before that. We had a 1 and 3 year old, my wife and I, and that morning we decided we were going to go up Mount Pelée in Martinique and go check out this rum distillery. Okay. Martinique is a lot like Hawaii, where I was born and raised. Very similar geographically. We were just the whole time on the way up there. We're just thinking about this is just like Hawaii. So that was running in the back of our brains, and we were stoked. And then we go check out the sugarcane farms, and that was just like Hawaii. And then we go and see this really cool old French building and this is for those of you know, this is the Depaz Distillery, and we're like, this would be rad. And we go over and we find the place where they're doing rum tastings, and we do a rum tasting, and I took one sip of the agricole, and I was just like, somebody slammed on the brakes of my whole life, just like, and I was like, what is this magic fluid? And they said, it's called rum agricole. And I said, how come I've never had any of this before? And they said, because you Americans love to put colors, flavors, and sugars in all your rum. And I'm like, this stuff is magical. And they just laughed. They're probably used to that reaction. And I said, well, what happens to all this stuff? And they said, we send it all to Europe. And I looked at my wife and I'm all, we have to move back to Hawaii and start a rum distillery. This is ridiculous. And that was that moment. And
That's awesome.
We woke up that morning, no thoughts of ever entering the spirits industry other than as bars or patrons.
So what year was that?
That was 2007.
2007. So
Yep.
you found your true passion in life, 2007, right?
I would say I found my outlet for my passion in life.
There you go.
Yes.
Very
Because the passion had been stewing in me for a while.
Yeah.
as my wife probably likes to say.
Well, that's awesome. So you've got four expressions out there, correct?
We have four rums. Our intention is no colors, no flavors, no sugars in anything we do. One of them is pure rum agricole that we make in Hawaii. The other three have our rum agricole in it. And what we're trying to do with our four rums is make one rum for every cocktail or every occasion. So there's nothing you can't do with at least one of our rums. How's that for a challenge?
That's awesome. That is awesome. So yes, you were kind enough to send us all four of your expressions, and we found them very fascinating. I mean, they're very good. So tonight, I'm actually enjoying. Which you can see, it's almost gone.
Yeah. I know a guy. I can get you some more.
Oh, good, good. You can hook me up.
Yeah. I got a hookup.
So yes, so that is what I'm having this evening, and the rest of these actually make some very, very good cocktails.
Yeah.
You know, we did some sampling. I am not a bartender, okay, but we try and play around with that a little bit.
No, I watched you.
And,
I like the Coke. I think that was a good touch.
yeah. So yeah,
There's the agricole,
yep.
and then
And
that's our hooey hooey.
the hooey
So
hooey.
that one right there is that's our cocktail white rum. That's three different rums blended together with our agricole in it. If you guys are music fans, it'd be like you're listening to Kenny Chesney because you think he's pop, and next thing you know, you're like listening to Waylon Jennings going, "What happened to me?" That's kind of like what that rum is designed to do. Like
Yeah.
you thought you were just slipping into a nice, easy mojito rum, and everything was going to be fine. And next thing you know, you're just shoulder deep in the rum world. So as we like to say around here, rum period.
Rum period.
Rum period.
So is there a story behind each one of these
Yes,
flavors?
100%.
So tell me about the hooey hooey. And
All right, we'll start with that one. That one's
what
perfect.
does hooey hooey mean?
So
You're based
hooey,
in Hawaii, right?
Hui in Hawaiian means a group. It means an assembly of things. Hui, when you put two similar words together and repeat them, it adds this extra emphasis, almost like a third dimension, if you will.
Okay.
So hui is a group of things. Hui means that these things, this group that these things have formed, are now better than the individuals themselves were.
Very nice.
So, quite literally, because we have the three different rums in there, and Trader Vic said this first, three rums do what one rum can't. So we're very specifically trying to build a light cocktail rum that you've never had before, and that's arguably one of the best rums in the world, and it's based on our rum agricole.
Now,
And
speaking of that, you've actually received some awards for some of your rums, correct?
we have for all of them. I'm a proud Papa Seal. I'm sorry for bragging, but I have to. So that Beverage Tasting Institute, which is a very highly regarded reviewing agency that's been around, I think, since 1981. They originally started with wines, and then they incorporated spirits years and years ago. That remains their highest rated unaged white rum they've ever reviewed. So the only white rums that beat it were rums that were aged in oak and then filtered back white, which is a great way to put in flavor. So that's what hooey hooey is, and that's just made for cocktails. It's easy. Price point is $35 at most stores, MSRP. We want it to be very approachable for bar programs. It's less than $1 an ounce. We specifically designed to just make awesome cocktails with that. Not a whole lot of commitment, and it's one of the best rums you're gonna ever have.
That's fantastic. So tell me about Nanea.
That's its twin sister, if you will.
Okay.
The word nanea is kind of a complicated word. It kind of means intriguing, and it means at ease, and it means to be really interested in something. The way I like to sum it up is, and these terms actually are all a nod to the wayfinders, the navigation people that found Hawaii in the first place. These are the people that sailed around the Pacific. If anybody's seen the movie Moana,
Yep.
so those are the wayfinders, and the wayfinders showed up from Tahiti 1,000 years ago and settled Hawaii. So hooey hooey, in addition to being a group of things that are now better, like you could argue a Mai Tai is hooey hooey, right? These are all disparate ingredients that now when you turn into a Mai Tai, it's like, are you kidding me? Or hooey hooey could also be a constellation of stars. Stars are super cool. They're fun to look at. But when you get a constellation of stars, as the navigators found out, you could actually use those for navigating. And you could actually tell where you were on the surface of the Earth and where you needed to go, depending on what direction you wanted to head. So that's hui hui. Nanea is sort of that feeling that you get, for example, if you'd been sailing for 3 months, wondering if you were ever going to find anything, and all of a sudden happen across Hawaii for the first time. That sense when you're on that beach and you're relaxed and your boat's unloaded and it's all good, that's Nanea. I also like to, Nanea is what it tastes like when you're sitting down at sunset and you're having your cocktail and all is right in the world. That sensation is also Nanea.
That's very nice.
Well, that's why it's called Nanea. And what we're trying to do there is simply a properly aged rum. Again, that one's 5 different rums. It's based on our agricole. We take our agricole, we age it for 18 months in cognac barrels. And then we blend in 4 other rums aged anywhere between our agricole is aged for 18 months, and the oldest rum in Nanea has been aged for 5 years. We blend that together so people could actually see what a properly aged rum tastes like, with no colors, no flavors, no sugars. So it's not a gold rum. It hasn't been colored. It hasn't been flavored. And most people are pretty surprised. If you like Manhattans or old fashions, it's an excellent rum. If you'd like to even, with your daiquiri and put in a little bit more flavor, that's what the Nanea is for. So again, that's like $35 a bottle MSRP. And that one's just designed to just, if you like whiskey, try this.
That's awesome. So I'm going to just take a moment, remind everybody that's watching with us right now, if you have any questions at all, I've got my phone here, and I'm trying to watch for any questions or comments or anything like that you want to get relayed over to Steve. I'll be the go-between there. So just let me know. Let's see. Yes, Sean, you definitely would love to make a few drinks with these. Absolutely. Greg's in the house as well. Thank you for joining us all. So yes, and yeah, Greg's, don't forget about your Just Drinking approval. Yes, definitely has our Just Drinking approval on all of their rums.
Nice.
One of the things that I want to remind everybody, like Steve's explaining here, they don't do any added sugars, any added colors, or any of that kind of stuff. And that's really important to a lot of rum drinkers out there, because that's what they're looking for. That natural, true blue flavor is what they're looking for. And
I love it. You got it right above your head. It says just rum. I agree, right? Rum, period.
Yep, rum, period. So tell us a little bit about your agricole.
All right, so the agricole is sort of our magic liquid, if you will. So this is our rum that we make from 35 different heirloom varieties of sugar cane. We call it ko on this island. That the original canoes, the original wayfinders came over and they brought all of their plants and their animals with them on the boats. They probably brought 2 or 3 different varieties of sugarcane with them from Tahiti. And when they planted those plants on the ground, that's when they sort of committed to Hawaii. They said, okay, this is our future. We've taken our past with us. We're bringing it forward, and we're going to base our future on this. And from those 2 or 3 different sugarcane plants that they brought, they developed 35 or so varieties of these heirloom canes via mutation. So as one would come up and have a different color, they'd say, that's really cool. And of course, I'm paraphrasing. I wasn't here for any of this. And develop it in some. I'm gonna. I don't know if this works out, but here's our business card. But why this is cool is that shows 11 of the 40 different sugar canes we grow. Wow. And so as you can see, just the variation and the colors and the flavors are mind-boggling. I mean, these are humans at their finest developing 35 different varieties of sugarcane flavors. It's amazing.
So we've talked before. If I remember correctly, you have a farmland right there in Hawaii that's growing.
Yes.
Your sugar canes.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Do they grow all 35?
Yeah, we're growing all the different varieties there. And we actually have around 40 varieties. Some of them aren't the hybrid. Some of them aren't the ones that were only grown in Hawaii. Some of them came from, Tahiti or Fiji or other varieties as well that are just really interesting to us. So we're growing those as well.
That I find that really fascinating. So you're taking it all the way from the sugarcane, all the way to something that everyone can enjoy.
And we
Right.
go one step further. We actually have our own bar and restaurant called the Kuleana Rum Shack. So we take it all the way to the Mai Tai.
So you're located on the Big Island.
We're on the Big Island. Yep.
Right? And you're kind of on the northwest side. Is that
Very northern tip of the Big Island, period. Just literally right there. That's our farm.
That's where your farm is?
That's called Upolu Point. And then if you just come around the west coast, that first mountain there is called Kohala.
Okay.
So when you come into that first big bay area, that's called Kauai High. That's where our distillery is. And then if you go a little bit more south on the coast where all of the visitors go, because it's sunny there all the time, and that's where all the great beaches are, world famous beaches, that's where the Kuleana Rum Shack is. So we're all in that district of Kohala.
Very nice. Well, I hope to stop by for a visit here, maybe in a couple of months. So
Let me know, and I'll hook you up.
We'll have to talk about that a little bit.
We're having Mai Tais. And you can have a rum and coke too. That's totally cool.
Awesome.
All right, so that's our agricole.
Yep.
And then and that's 100% fresh sugarcane juice, and that's only 3% of the world's rum is actually made from fresh juice. And then just like with Nanea, like I said, what we'll do is we'll take that age it for 18 months in cognac barrels, and we use it in the Nanea as well as that hokule that you're holding.
Yes.
So hokule in Hawaiian means literally a lei of stars. Hoku meaning star and lei meaning a lei. And there's a constellation in the sky that the Hawaiian navigators named Hokule because there's 7 stars in it and it looks like a lei.
Wow.
You'll notice there's 7 rums in our Hokule intentionally. And then the main star in the constellation of Hokule is called Hokule, which for many Westerners is confusing, but it's very common in Polynesia, right? The main island in Tahiti is Tahiti. The main island in Hawaii is Hawaii. The main star in Hokule is Hokule, and of course that represents our agricole because that's what the magic ingredient is. But we have 7 rums in there that are aged between 18 months, and the oldest rum has been aged 18 years. And what we're trying to do with that one is, and here's another big, bold, embarrassing statement, but I stick by it, is show that rum can be as good or better than any spirit you've ever had.
You don't need to convince me on that at all. I agree completely. 100%. I agree with you.
My marketing idea, I don't have the money to back this up, but my marketing plan is to take a full page ad in the Wall Street Journal and just say world's best whiskey and have a picture of Hokule there. And an email address where they can send the hate mail.
Yeah.
That's how proud of Hokule we are.
Yeah, you should be. It's a very, all your products are very, very good. So I gotta ask you, you're born and raised in Hawaii, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So did you ever imagine that this would be your calling?
No.
Growing up there in Hawaii, and zero, right?
No concept.
It's just interesting how things just kind of work out.
Former lives, I was a journalist. After that, I was a contractor. Had no idea I was going to be a rum maker. I was even the communications officer for the world's largest telescope.
Wow.
This is
awesome.
nothing to do with rum.
Nothing at all to do with rum.
But in my mind, oddly, it has everything to do with rum, which is actually why I'm doing it. So all of those stuff just sort of prepared me for understanding how these different things work and understanding what people think of when they think of Hawaii and understanding what people think of Hawaii and what they'd like to preserve and the stories they'd like to tell. And our ability to build what we hope other people agree is a world-class product. And that's really what we like to do, and that's what people from Hawaii quietly like to do, and I think so. And because of this story of sugarcane actually coming from the Pacific Ocean and being developed intentionally by Polynesians and Melanesians and Micronesians before then to create this beautiful plant, we're just trying to continue that plant into the future and make as much room for it as we can and try and make this awesome rum to celebrate it.
Yeah, you've done yourself proud. You really have. I'm going to take a minute here and just kind of check out some of the comments that I'm seeing. Wow, Steven's here from the Netherlands. Thank you for joining us, Steven. Um, let's see, we've got, just give me a moment here. Usually this is where Robert's either looking at this information and I'm talking, or Robert's talking. So bear with me here for just a moment. Okay, so Greg is asking, do any grow closer to an active volcano? And if so, does that change the taste of the sugar and or the resulting rum?
Yeah, we noticed the ones that grow next to the volcano are often burnt. No, I'm just kidding. So we also don't like to catch on fire. So we live, Kohala is the northernmost volcano that formed the island of Hawaii. The island of Hawaii has been formed by 5 different volcanoes. Kohala is the oldest. The tectonic plate that Hawaii and all the Pacific Islands are formed on is slowly moving to the north west. And so all of the new islands develop to the southeast of each other. So Kohala, being the northwesternmost point of the Big Island, is actually the oldest volcano.
Yeah.
So knock on wood, it's an extinct volcano. It's impossibility that we'd have any volcanic action where we live. However, as everybody knows in the news, on the southwest or the southeast side of the island, there's 2 active volcanoes. One of them is Mauna Loa, which recently erupted for the first time in 40 years. And then the much more active Kilauea, which has been sort of erupting for the last 40, 45 years.
Right, exactly. So Greg's question kind of makes me wonder. I think one of the things that he's might be interested in is, do you think that your sugar cane, the way it's grown there on the island, being a volcanic island, is going to be much different than other like Caribbean islands, where sugar cane is grown and not necessarily engulfed in a volcanic atmosphere?
Right.
Does that make sense?
So it's a great question. So what we've learned is, as the better we try and become as farmers, which is just beginners to be totally honest, is let the soil be soil, let the air be air, let the plants be plants. Just stay out of the way. There's so much going on that we have no idea.
Yeah.
And the more papers that I read about farming and practices, the more, a lot of this information is just coming to light. So that's basically our shtick, if you will. And these plants were developed. So the sugarcane started in Papua New Guinea 10,000 years ago, and these plants have been developed for millennia by humans in the Pacific. These are Pacific plants looking for Pacific conditions. That's where they thrive. That's where they grow. And because humans have been sort of caretaking them and developing them into crops that they enjoyed, they made sure that that they become happier and healthier. So that's why there's 35 that are unique to Hawaii alone. There's, I don't even know what the number is. I think there might be 800 throughout the Pacific.
Wow.
So these plants have been developed. So the answer to your question is not only yes, but also each one actually has a remarkably different flavor profiles from each other. So one of them might be a light, not very sweet, kind of like a simple syrup type flavor. Others get these really heavy citrus notes. Some of them become extremely sweet and like toasted coconut and or like real melon flavors. And then you might get these really herbaceous ones that are starting to taste like lemongrass, and sort of every combination of each. So it's really fun to play with the different types of cane and the different juices. And in case anybody's gears are running, we're working on a program where we do single varietal rums. And to be honest, though, it's very difficult to control the variation between batch to batch, even if everything is identical. Let alone when So what we're finding is it's not as easy to just replace one juice for the other and actually have it taste the same
Right.
amount of different every single time, if that makes sense.
Oh, it
So we're
makes sense.
getting close to being able to do that, but it's extremely tricky because so that's one of the things that we're working on.
And all that experimentation takes time, all that type of stuff. But you get to actually enjoy your experimentation as well,
We're
right?
way into this. We're so into this, it's embarrassing.
That is so cool. Let's see. So Jeremy was actually on the Big Island last April, and he's extremely disappointed that he didn't know anything about Kuleana rum. He didn't try your rum
Darn
while
it.
he was there on the Big Island or anything. So I think Jeremy's pretty much kicking himself right now.
I'm looking for my business card so I can show it to Jeremy next time he comes. You give me a call, Jeremy. I got you.
There
Right?
you go.
Take a screenshot of that. Call me up. My ties are on me, Jeremy.
That's awesome. Sean, let's see. What's your favorite cocktail to make with agricole?
Ooh, with the agricole, that's a really good question. A tea punch is brilliant.
Tea punch.
So
So
any of you who haven't had a tea punch,
no.
it's a Martinique thing. It's a French thing. The TI is
Okay.
short for petite. So it's a
Okay.
little punch. The French
Yep.
also call it like a mousse bouche, right? A little taste. So
Yep.
they get agricole, a couple drops of lime, and maybe some sugarcane syrup at room temperature. It's
Okay.
delectable. If you got a little fresh lilycoy at your house, which is passion fruit, which
Yep.
probably not where you are, but we just go outside
Not
and
here.
go grab a passion fruit. A little bit of that in there is really nice. And the other way that's really fun to go is stick it in a drink that normally would call for a light, like a martini.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's very strange to recommend that because normally martinis have become basically ethanol and water. Extra dry means please don't put any of the vermouth in it.
Yes. Yes.
And and if you're doing it with vodka, it means you don't want any flavor either. You're going for ethanol and water, which is cool. Like I totally get that.
Yeah.
But when you use an agricole, and our agricole, if you want to get really nerdy, is a very high congener spirit. It's one of the highest congener spirits made. Um, as proof, most rums come out at 94 ABV, meaning the output is 94% alcohol, which leaves 6% flavor, if you will. Whiskeys, straight whiskeys, bourbons have to come out at a maximum of 80% alcohol, which means that they're requiring at least 20% flavor. And that's considered a flavorful spirit. Ours comes out of the still between 75 ABV and 50 ABV. So at times, half of what's coming out of our still is just the flavor part of it. So that's a lot of flavor. So that's the exactly opposite of putting in a vodka. You're going the other way. And you're putting this highly flavorful agricole in. And then what I like to do is put in the full portion of vermouth in that for the martini. And it's kind of incredible.
That's awesome. So will they be able to go onto your website and check out
Yes.
the recipes?
Yes. We've
Okay.
got a bunch of cocktail recipes on our website, kuleanarum.com.
Okay.
Just
So so
spell Kuleana.
so that's going to lead me into the next question. How can they get your rum? Because
We are distributed in about 12 different states right now. We're adding we're adding states as I speak, so that's why I say about 12.
okay.
And if you're not in a state that we're distributed, which is nationally we're with Southern, so if you go to any bar and restaurant and you just say, "Do you have any Kuleana?" and if they say, "I've never heard of it," then you can tell them, well, they're distributed with Southern, which means they can literally just go to their computer and get it within 2 days. So that would be huge. That's the biggest ask we could ever ask for anybody to do. That's the way we really spread the word. If you're not in one of the states we already are, then on our website we ship to 27 different states.
Okay.
And if
That
you're in a
that's
state that doesn't allow it, you probably already know that.
so the question is out there. We've got some people here that are very interested in acquiring all four of your rums. Okay.
Free
And they're
shipping, 3 or more.
and they're wondering if there's any kind of discount code
Yes.
or anything like that that you would be able to be willing to share with this group. So if they truly want to go get, go get your rums, then then they would be able to.
Well, Royer, you didn't actually prepare me for that, but
I had no idea. That's the thing about
it's a
live.
great
We
question.
never
No,
know
no,
what's going to happen.
I just wanted to say Royer. I've been looking for an excuse to call you Royer all day. So honestly, I'd love to. So why don't you let me get with the sales team? We will come up with a discount code,
Okay,
and we'll put it, and I'll give it to you, and you can put it underneath the video.
that sounds great.
Okay, love it. That's a great idea. Whose idea was that?
Uh, Shout out to Greg.
All right, maybe we'll call like Greg 23 or something like that. I don't know what we're gonna call it, but we should, we should probably call it Just Drinking, right?
Probably.
All right, I'm actually writing a note in my notebook to do this. This is for real.
Yeah, Jeremy says that he's definitely kicking himself. I did get to try your rum while at Seattle Rum Fest,
Oh, nice.
but not the same as going to the distillery.
You may have met me. I was at Seattle Rum Fest.
So yeah, Jeremy, you'll have to.
I might have been the guy that served you that rum, Jeremy. In fact, I think I remember you.
Yeah. uh, so Chad joining us. The only Kuleana they sell where I live is the Hui Hui. What's your recommendations to best enjoy?
Are you in Utah? Is he?
Oh, Chad, you're gonna have to let us know where you're at.
Um, so you, if unless you're in Utah, you should easily be able to get the other ones just the same. So all of them are in the same warehouses that the Hui Hui came from. So if you just ask the bar or say, can you add this other one too, then they should be able to bring that in immediately. But Hui Hui was specifically designed to make cocktails glorious. So try it in a daiquiri, try it in a martini, try it in my favorite, Hui Hui, Negroni. Love it.
I think that's what we actually tried to make here.
Yeah. You missed one of the ingredients though, if I'm being honest. I think you forgot to put in the vermouth.
Yes, I did. I even went out and bought a special bottle of vermouth, which is under the bar, because we don't have anything back here that's not rum, right? So
I saw the Campari. And I was impressed.
So yes, we wanted to make some good cocktails and stay true to your recipes as close as what we could, keeping in mind I am not an experienced bartender, although I spent many hours sitting at the bar.
Nice. But, that's much better way to do it, to be totally honest.
So Greg's also saying Agricole makes an interesting daiquiri. Let's see. Sean's saying Maryland, please. So yeah, don't know.
So I don't know what the shipping laws in Maryland are, but we are going to shortly be opening in New York, and Florida, and maybe Massachusetts. I realize that those are still not close to Maryland, but Maryland's pretty central.
Okay.
So we're getting very close.
Okay. Let's see. So Chad is in Utah. Yeah.
I figured. Okay, so you can special order through the DAB, I think is what it's called. And anybody in Utah, if I'm getting that wrong, I apologize. But the Hui Hui is already in all the stores because Utah owns all of the liquor stores, so they're all state stores. And so they brought in Hui Hui everywhere, which is awesome. And then they can also special order the others.
Okay.
That's a tricky one. I'll do a little Utah connection. A little shout out to one of our original partners. Anybody familiar with High West Whiskey? The founder of High West Whiskey, David Perkins, is also from Utah, and that's where he founded High West. And when he sold High West, he actually joined us. So our blending program is based on his great big brain and his world-class palate, to create these really, really outstanding blends. So for example, we have the the 18-year-old rum in our hokule was horrendous. None
Okay.
of us liked it. The tasting notes for this thing were like wet dishcloth, old sink. It was pretty bad stuff.
Yep.
And so, for one, the exuberance and how badly we insulted this stuff was kind of telling. And for anybody who's had a crush and pretended like they didn't have a crush in grade school, there's a lot of insults before you actually admit you actually liked the person the whole time. So it's kind of like we had this relationship with this one rum, and Mr. Perkins, in his brilliance, as we're sitting there trying to figure out, okay, what's the accent? What's the sparkle? What is the thing that we're going to do with this hokule that sends it over the top? He's all put in just a tiny percentage of that stuff. And we looked at him like, you're crazy. He said, let's just try it. So he tried it, and it was just like, what? This is amazing. And the metaphor that he used was, it's like Cindy Crawford. So I'm dating myself, but this is what he said. It's like Cindy Crawford, right? If she had moles all over her face, she wouldn't be Cindy Crawford. If she
Right.
didn't have any moles, she wouldn't be Cindy Crawford. But that mole, that's what makes her Cindy Crawford.
There you go.
And
Yeah.
so that was a good life lesson for me, but that's the sort of level of genius and the magic that kind of helped make hokule.
So it sounds like you got some fantastic people working with you and making some fantastic additions to your products here, right?
I'm just barely smart enough to know that I need to hire people that are way smarter than me and work with the world's best if we can. So that's my job, is to make sure that we're working with the world's best.
Greg's asking, do they ship to Iowa? If not, maybe I can ship it to my relatives in Illinois if I trust that they don't drink it.
I can't comment on that because it sounds like we might be breaking some laws. Maybe
Yeah,
I
so
don't know.
yeah, not sure, Greg.
But I will say it'll be very clear on our website whether we ship to your state or not.
Yeah. So, Jeremy, he wants to let you know I was the guy at Seattle Rum Fest wearing the Just Drinking shirt under my Hawaiian shirt that matches Rogers with the wife who wasn't drinking because she was pregnant.
So the implication there is that I would have taken off his Aloha shirt, or you call him Hawaiian shirt, that I would have actually taken his Hawaiian shirt off to find out what he was wearing underneath. And Jeremy, I'm pretty sure we didn't go there. No, I'm just teasing.
So, Steve, do you have any new products that are coming out that you're excited about, that you want to kind of give kind of a tease about a little bit?
Well, this is a horrible tease because it's the tease in the truest sense.
Okay.
So this is batch one, or this is bottle one of 188 of a product that we call Jamaica 11. So this is the very first bottle. And what we do as we're looking for these cool rums to use with our agricole, sometimes we find these just extraordinary things. Remember that database I told you with those horrible notes?
Yep.
We have this huge database and of things that we've tried all over the world. Number one thing is they just can't have colors, flavors, and sugars in them.
Right.
And then we taste them and we put database. This Jamaica 11 got some of the highest scores for any of the rums that we've ever tried, but there was only one barrel of it. So we're like, what are we going to do with one barrel? And we're like, ding, let's buy it.
Yep.
So we bought it, bottled it at barrel proof, and sold all 188 bottles.
No kidding.
Now, how's that for a tease? So this is a brand new rum that you can't have
It's just not out there anymore.
ever. It's gone. So if you see it at somebody's house, but here's where it gets a little fairer, is we're going to do that every quarter.
Okay.
So there'll be another one out this summer of another different rum that we found somewhere else, and it might be 2 or 3 barrels this time, or it might be, whatever. So it's all highly limited, odds and ends, but all of them were these fantastic expressions that, because we have these really cool licenses, we have the import license and distillers, we do more distillery stuff than most distilleries do. So that allows us to bring in stuff and just share it with our friends, honestly. Like, this is the perfect avenue to just say this. We're not going to make a ton of money on 188 bottles, but we don't care if we can stoke people out by getting them a true Jamaican rum that's been aged for 11 years that nobody's ever adulterated and it's served at barrel proof. Like that's a pretty good friend.
That's cool.
So that's what we like to do. So keep I would say subscribe to our email, and that's the only way. To be honest, that's the only way you even find out we even have these rums.
So I've got a question for you. So we're here in Iowa,
And
right?
this is not Jamaica 11 that I'm drinking. This is just water.
So we're here in Iowa and control state. If we ask our liquor store to special order Kuleana, would you be able to sell it that way?
No,
Okay.
and I hate saying no,
Okay.
because we can't sell to any bars, restaurants, or consumers. We can only sell to a distributor.
Okay. So
And the distributor sells to the bars and restaurants, and then the
right.
bars and restaurants sell to the consumers. And nobody's allowed to skip any of those steps.
Okay.
So our relationship with our distributor, Southern, is such that we agree when we open a new state, because that state where that distributor is has to take it on as a product, load up their warehouse, and do all those types of things.
Okay.
But I will say, those of you that are in the states we currently are, the quicker you buy rum, the more money we'll have to be able to open up new states. So unless you're just trying to keep it all for yourselves, maybe let's help out these other states like Iowa by buying as much
Come
Kool-Aid
on,
as we
help us
can.
out. Help us out. All right. Let's see. We've got lots of good comments here. Jeremy's letting you know my memory of Seattle Rum Fest is a little blurry.
I was going to
And I
say.
blame the rum. Right?
Nice. I'm beginning to like Jeremy. I can't wait to meet him. Again.
Yes, you will absolutely. I hope you have that opportunity. Let's see. Carlos, welcome. Glad to have you here. Let's see. So what was the year that you put your first label on your first bottle and it went for sale?
Yeah, our very first bottle we sold. So we hatched the idea in 7,
Okay.
moved back to Hawaii in 12, started planting plants, bought a still, learned how to make rum. I'm pretty sure we were moonshining illegally. Well, maybe we weren't. Maybe we weren't. I'm not sure. No, but seriously, we had to. It was a long learning curve. So our very first bottle went on. We sold in December of 2018.
December of 2018.
Took us
Wow.
5 years, almost 6 really, because we incorporated in the beginning of 13 and didn't sell. It was really, effectively 2019. So it took us 6 years before we sold our first bottle. But to be totally honest, like the only reason why we're doing this is to offer something that you can't get anywhere else. And if we're just gonna, offer something that you can get somewhere else, then I'll just go to the liquor store and get that, because it turns out this is way more expensive way to make rum than others. So it took us that long before we felt confident enough that the products were good enough and worthy enough of being out in the market.
Awesome. So I'm guessing 2020 was a pretty tough year for you.
Well, and in Hawaii, like I'll just, it's fun to ask this question now, but how many of you guys were worried about all the people in Hawaii when COVID shut down, right?
Yeah.
So the tough thing about being in Hawaii is nobody's thinking about us, because we're a vacation memory at best.
Yeah.
And so we were completely shut down. So the airports were effectively closed for basically 9 months. You couldn't get off. If you got off a plane, you had to go report to quarantine for 2 weeks. And who was going to fly to Hawaii to stay 2 weeks in a hotel room and then probably go home, right? So, but the good news is we know how to take care of each other. And so we did. And like many distilleries, it dawned on me very early on in March when I realized we couldn't find any sanitizer and weren't going to get any, that I'm sitting on, hundreds of thousands of liters of alcohol. I'm like, we can make sanitizer. So, and I think a lot of us realized that all, within days of each other. And then so we pivoted, continued to make our rum because, the restaurants and stuff in Hawaii, and we're still going. It was just a much slower rate. But we also started making sanitizer as well. And then at first we were just giving it away in 55-gallon drums to the county. So
Yeah.
all the emergency workers could sort of get back to work and at least start opening things up a bit, hotels and schools, and then we started selling a little bit of it. And then I mean, it's an interesting time, but I think it was a good time too. I mean, to be honest, we all got to sort of reset and decide what's important and really think about what matters and sort of, a little nudge steering here and there never hurt anyone. Obviously, there was a lot of other things that were less than pleasant that came out of it, but it was a painful but healthy thing, I think, to have happened, and it certainly made our business stronger, and certainly, I think, helped people realize that maybe all this extra thought and effort and stuff that we're trying to do with our rums makes a little bit more sense than it used to. Because we're really about transparency and just being authentic as possible and really trying to,
Yeah.
just make a super high quality product rather than just a party product.
I don't know a whole lot about Hawaii, but I will say, we took a vacation there 5 years ago, and we were over there for a couple of weeks, and I was so impressed with the sense of community that you have there in Hawaii. And we traveled all the islands except for the main island there where you're at, and because there was some big fear of this volcano that was going off 5 years ago. But the one word that really, I don't know a whole lot of the language. I find it fascinating. My wife, she's much better at that than what I am. But the one word that really has stuck with me is ohana. Can you explain to everybody what ohana really means?
Yeah, ohana is just family. And it's a group. I mean, it's everybody. I think the lesson that I didn't know I've already learned was that culture trumps strategy from a business standpoint, but it's also from a life standpoint. So when people come to Hawaii, that observation that you had made, what you're really realizing is that the culture is so strong that it overrides the strategies of hotels marketing or what the store would like you to do or what the airlines would like you to do. This culture is beyond that. And so the culture wins in Hawaii every day. And ohana is an example of that. So that's a pervasive, the fact that you could come to Hawaii and leave with a word that means family, like that's rare that you go on vacation somewhere and learn what the word family meant in their language.
Right.
But the point is we're, we are so identical to each other from a biological point of view. It's shocking, and to not, so the Hawaiian culture just makes sure that that's obvious to everybody all the time. And then you treat each other as though you're family members, because why not?
Exactly. And I found that whole exposure that we had to that culture just fascinating, and I feel like that is something that you really encapsulated in your product. Believe it or not, that when I tasted your product, it took me back. It just brought back some really good memories of our trip there, and I found it very fascinating of how
That's
you
great.
could actually do that. And you were able to put that in a bottle. I could sense that, I could taste it, I remembered that feeling, and I found that very fascinating.
That's cool. I was a literature major in school, and Ernest Hemingway had this thing that he said that he believed that whatever you were thinking could come out in your writing, even though what you were writing had nothing to do with what you were thinking.
Yep.
And so he believed that, and he would write his stories as such. And so, I mean, honestly, that's we're thinking that way. If you come to the farm, like, it's embarrassing how beautiful it is. It's embarrassing how quiet it is. Even though we're like totally working, it's just this really beautiful place. And you're like, are you kidding? This is all it takes. You're just growing this cane and cutting it and juicing it over there to make this rum. I mean, it's like, where's the machines? Where's
Yeah.
the soot? Where's the noise? And there's, there's none of that stuff going on. And it's just, so all of that stuff. I mean, we honestly, that's why we live in Hawaii. We're just that goes into everything we're doing, and I'm just delighted that it translates,
It,
out in the products. And that is our mission statement. Our mission statement is discover, make, and share world class rum, and celebrate Hawaii in everything we do. So, if you're telling me you found Hawaii, then high five to the team.
yeah, definitely.
And honestly, kudos to you though, because there's many visitors that come back to Hawaii and might only know where the ball crawl was,
Yeah.
and the fact that you guys were going out and learning and open and ready to learn and receive new things is awesome. And so when people are like that here, you'll find that people here really open up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you have a great culture there. You really do. We are looking so forward to coming back to your region there in a couple of months, few
And
months.
don't worry about the volcanoes; they're erupting all the time. It's totally cool. Just, just don't go jump in the volcano or go near one where it's erupting. Everybody knows where it's,
Yeah.
it, it's not a big surprise. So,
So, gonna give everybody here last minute here to ask any questions that you want about Kuleana rum. Please go ahead and put them out there if you want. We're getting close to getting things shut down here a little bit. Steve, I really want to tell you, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us. This is I love talking with you about your products. You got great products, and definitely if you're able to get a discount code of some kind, share it with us. We'll get it out there to everybody, and I think you've got a great product. I just
that's awesome. Thank you. And kudos. I mean, honestly, I think watching your videos has been such a hoot. I mean, I love them. So you guys have a
thank
great time, and it completely translates, and it's super fun watching them.
you
I,
know
I, I have my daughter watch them. That's I'm like, you got to watch these guys. They're hilarious.
it's so fun too. To your point earlier, you had mentioned that rum is the best liquor out there. It outdoes the whiskeys, the vodkas, the gins, and tequilas, and all this type of stuff, and we definitely agree. So, funny thing, when we started our YouTube channel, we named it Just Drinking, because we thought, okay, we're going to start off with rum, because I had a passion for rum, and which is a whole nother story. But so we started out with rum, and we figure, okay, we'll blow through the rum, and then we'll hit the tequila and the bourbon, and all this other stuff. And we got ankle deep into the rum, and it's like we're home. This is we've had all this other stuff. Exactly. Rum, period. I mean, that's where we landed. Sometimes I wish we would have named the channel something a little bit different, but we had no idea that we were actually going to just end it at rum.
That's great.
It is by far, I think, the best cocktail maker, best drink out there that a person can have.
That's
So,
great. I totally agree with you.
so
Well, you have a couple of Just Rum shirts heading your way already.
oh, awesome. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. So with that, let's see. So with that, I am going to say goodbye for now. And Steve, we will be in touch with you, I'm sure.
All right, awesome.
I hope everyone has a wonderful Thursday evening, and you all take care. Like I always do, always drink responsibly. Never drink and drive, and no rums were harmed during the making of this video. Y'all take care. Thanks, Steve.
All right, thanks. Bye bye.